Yes, sir.
I record it. And then at the same time, yung recording natin. Okay lang ba ha? Kasi privacy, di ba? Na okay lang ba na i-upload ko yung ano natin sa YouTube? Kasi, okay lang naman. Don't worry, hindi kayo papagalitan. Okay lang. So what I will do is I will just Jermaine, pwedeng okay. What I will do is I will just send link. Okay. What I will do is I will just send the link in the LMS. Hi. Ayan. All right. All right. Sige. Okay, I will open first my PowerPoint. CVP. Hindi naman kayo nahihirapan sa online. Hirap na hirap.
Sir, parang mas nakakapagod.
Yeah, true. Honestly.
Adjusting
'Di ba?
po
Dapat
ako.
nasa bahay ka lang nga, 'di ba? Nasa bahay ka lang.
Dami po alam nito.
Nakikinig ka lang. Pero
Oo,
ewan
sir,
ko,
parang mas nakakapagod talaga,
pero
sir.
ewan ko kung bakit nakapagod. Kahit ako pagod na pagod ako, promise. Hindi lang ito isang beda yung, 'di ba, tinuturuan ko madami kong schools. I have De La Salle and I have Ateneo and Perpetual. So parang pagod na pagod ako. Unlike dati, 'di ba, nasabay-sabay ko naman yung lahat. Parang hindi na, parang mas maganda akong pumunta ng school, 'di ba? Ewan ko bakit, no? O baka hindi tayo sanay, no? Baka hindi rin tayo sanay, 'di ba? Alright, good evening. Okay lang eh. Hey, man, na-start pa lang tayo. Alright. Today is, I will discuss about the cost volume profit analysis. So I think some of you attended last Wednesday, pero hindi lahat, no, kasi medyo patapos na kami. Basically, what we discussed talaga last Wednesday is all about the absorption and variable costing. So if you have time, maybe we can be able to discuss about the absorption and variable. Pero no worries na. We will focus more on the CVP analysis. Okay. Ano yung sinabi sa inyo during your cost accounting about the cost, volume, profit analysis? Ano yung cost? Bakit tinatawag ito na cost, volume, profit, relationship, or analysis? Diba? Cost is basically you have your variable cost and you have your fixed cost, right? How about your volume? Volume is basically your units, no? Units sold, unit produced. How about your profit? Profit is all about your net income. Diba? So in terms of the CVP analysis, basically, we will focus more on the sales minus variable cost is equals to contribution margin and minus your fixed costs, and you have your net income. Wait na, may nag-text lang. Alright. Sige. Today, I will discuss about what do you mean of variable and what do you mean of fixed costs. I think some of you alam na nito, di ba? Ano nga yung rule in terms of variable and fixed costs? What if your sales will go up? What will happen to your total variable cost? What will happen to your total fixed cost? What will happen to your variable cost per unit? What will happen to your total fixed cost? Alam niyo na ba yan, Christine? Naalala niyo yan? Yung tinuro sa inyo dati? What if your sales will go up? What will happen to your total variable cost? What if tumaas yung sales ulit? What will happen to your variable cost per unit and the fixed cost? Naalala pa? Oh, hindi na. Alright. Alright, sige.
Sir, naalala ko lang pag variable.
Alright.
Parang variable
Gregorio.
siya dun sa...
Alright.
Variable po siya dun sa sales. Then yung
Alright.
fixed po, mag-remain po siya. Yun lang po naalala.
Alright, very good. How about the variable cost per unit and how about the fixed cost per unit? Wala. Okay lang. Don't worry. No worries. No? I think we will discuss later. Okay? Don't memorize. No? For me, don't memorize. As long as you analyze, Kasi at the end of the day, no, hindi naman tayo more on pagme-memorize ang accounting, but you are good in numbers at the same time, you are good in analysis, diba? Okay? Do you want something to add?
Po.
All right, wala. All right.
Wala po.
Okay, kasi nag-unmute ka. All right. Anyway, explain the concept of mixed costs. All right? So, basically, what do you mean of mixed cost? Ano yung sinabi sa inyo dati? Mixed cost is basically the combinations of variable and fixed cost. Tama? In terms of mixed cost, very important is you should separate the variable and fixed cost. Hindi pwede magkasama ang variable and fixed cost. That's why, as you notice, ano yung pinaka sikat na method in terms of separating the variable and fixed costs? Alam niyo yun. It is called high-low method. Naalala pa. Alright. And also, we will discuss about the 5 components of the CVP analysis. So, 1, 2, 3 is basically the variable and fixed cost. Number 4 is your CVP analysis and indicate the meaning of the contribution margin. Okay. And because of the CM, you have your break-even point. Okay. You have margin of safety. You have the target sales, or sorry, target net income in computing for your sales. And also, we will discuss later about the operating leverage. All right. And the features of cost volume profit analysis. Ano to, ha? All right. So in the CVP analysis, very important is the cost behavior analysis. What do you mean of cost behavior? From the andyan na, no? How specific the cost responds to changes in the level of activity within the company. Anong ibig sabihin noon? In layman's term, Darren, in your own understanding, what do you mean of cost behavior? Okay lang, any guess, don't worry. Naka-unmute ka, naka-mute ka, Darren.
Ay, sorry.
And alright,
Ayan,
sige.
sir. Siguro po, sir, pag sa demand.
Alright, pag sa demand, what will
Kunyari,
happen?
tumaas po yung demand. Ayun po.
Alright, so pag tumaas yung demand, of course, you will also increase your sales. You will also increase the variable cost. Very good. Alright, very good, Darren. No? That's why starting point here is basically how cost responds to changes in your level. Sabi ni Darren, it is basically your demand of the product. For example, San Miguel beer. Diba? Ang pinuproduce ng San Miguel ay 10,000 cases of beer. Let's say Red Horse or San Miguelite. Kaya lang, dahil kay Christine and kay Brandon, no? Lumakas sila. Lumakas ang kanilang beer, no? Ang lakas, no? That's why from 10,000, you have 12,000 to 15,000 to 20,000 cases of beer. Meaning, that would be your demand in terms of drinking your beer. Di ba? Sayang, lalo na ngayon, Oktoberfest sana, no? Because of COVID-19, di ba? Naapektuhan yung benta ng San Miguel. What if, sabi ni Darren, what if you have more San Mig Light, San Mig Lemon, San Mig Apple? What will happen now? You will also increase your sales. You will also increase your variable cost. How about fixed costs? It will remain the same. Diba? Regardless of the changes in your activity. Meaning, tumaas man ang benta, anong mangyayari sa rental? Anong mangyayari sa salary ng supervisor? It will remain the same. Don't worry, later I have here illustrations. No? All right. That's why in terms of activity level, very important is no, the terms. You have sales per dollar, you have miles driven, room occupancy, number of dance classes. All right. Okay, wag na to. Yan. Distinguish between variable and fixed cost. I have here with me my what do you call that? All right, sige. Baba na lang ha. Alright. So in terms of the financial accounting, 'di ba? Ano yung usual na ginagawa natin in terms of computing our net income? 'Di ba? You have your sales, right? Minus gross cost of goods sold, correct? And you have your minus, sales, less cost of goods sold, and you have your gross profit. Tama ba? And you have your expenses, and you have your net income. Tama ba? Ito yung tinuro sa inyo ni Sir Jossart, di ba? So basically, this is your net income. All right. So this is basically your financial accounting or what you call FINAC. Okay. If your net income here is 10,000, okay, dapat in terms of your MANAC, ano yung formula to compute for net income, especially in terms of your internal reporting purposes? Of course, sales minus variable cost, tama ba? Is equals to contribution margin minus your fixed cost, and you have your net income. All right. So basically, in your managerial accounting and financial accounting, dapat you have the same net income here. Okay? Parehas lang naman yon. Ano yung pagkakaiba or ano yung pagkakaiba nila? In the financial accounting, basically, you have your cost of goods sold, you have your expenses. But in MANAC, what we did is the cost of goods sold and the expenses are to be classified either variable cost or if it is fixed cost. Okay, that's the essence of the cost behavior function, wherein the variable cost will respond every time you have an increase or decrease in your sales, but fixed costs will remain the same regardless of the changes in your activity. Okay? So meaning, we will focus more on this for the next 5 months. All right. Okay. So ito yung criteria ha. What if this is your sales? No? This is your sales. All right. And this is your sales. What if your sales will increase? What if your sales will decrease? All right. What will happen to your total variable cost? All right. Total variable cost. Your variable cost per unit. All right. What else? Your total fixed cost. And your fixed cost per unit. All right. What will happen if this would be the scenario? All right. Again, take note that don't memorize on this. Later, I will give you illustration on this. Okay? What if your sales will increase? What will happen to your total variable cost? Any guess or any answer? Of course, the answer here is
Mag-i-increase din po.
very good, Marikay. It will increase. All right. How about the ayan ako na lang. All right. How about the variable cost per unit? It will increase or it will decrease? Ano mo na ha? Later na yung explanation kung bakit ganyan. All right. Si ano? Sino ba? Janina Lucino. What will happen if your sales will increase? What will happen to your variable cost per unit? Take note review to, no? On the review in your last year. Okay.
Sir, bababa po.
Bababa. All right. Sige, ano yung bababa if variable cost per unit? Sabi ni Janina. Tama ba?
Yes,
All right.
sir.
All right. Any other answer?
Constant po.
Alright. The answer is? Sino yan, Marikay?
No effect.
Alright.
Opo.
No effect. Alright. The answer here is constant. Alright. Later ha, wag niyo munang okay? Mamaya kung ano yung bakit constant. Alright. How about your total fixed cost? If your sales will increase, what will happen to your total fixed cost? The answer is, pag tumaas yung benta, ano mangyayari sa fixed cost total? It will remain the same. How about the fixed cost per unit? Okay.
De-decrease po.
Very good. The answer here is decrease. All right. Later ha, explanation. Again, how about if your sales will decrease? What will happen to your variable cost? The answer is, very good, decrease. How about the variable cost per unit? It is constant. Huh? How about total fixed cost? Constant pa din. Alright. How about the fixed cost per unit pag tumaas? It will increase. Alright. So, in this example, tama siya? Same lang yan ha. Alright. In this example, meaning the total variable cost will vary directly and proportionately to your sales, right? While variable cost per unit and the total fixed cost will remain the same regardless of the changes in your activity. While the fixed cost per unit vary inversely, okay, in your sales, or sorry, vary inversely with the changes in your sales. Okay, the question is, naintindihan ba ito? Honestly. Yung iba, oo, yung iba, hindi. Okay, to further explain that, I have here, sige, I will use this question. Okay, yes, okay. Sige, what will I do is, I will copy it. I will just copy it. Para hindi ka na, para may format na kasi dito. Yan. Alright. Alright. In the CVP analysis, no, take note of this. In the CVP analysis, no, always given is the variable cost per unit. Always given is the total fixed cost and also the volume. Okay? The question is, of course, given din yung selling price, if you minus the selling price with the variable cost, you have your contribution margin. In the CVP analysis, yan ang laging given. All right. My question is, sir, bakit laging given ang variable cost per unit, hindi ang total variable cost? Bakit, sir, given lagi ang total fixed cost, not the fixed cost per unit? What is the answer for that? Okay.
Sir, dahil hindi naman naapektuhan ng
Okay.
activity level yung fixed cost.
Ang total fixed cost. All right.
Opo.
Very good. Very good. The answer for that is because of this. Regardless of the changes in your activity, the variable cost per unit and the total fixed cost will remain the same, constant. Tumaas man ang cases of beer mo, maging 12 man yan, maging 13,000 man yan, maging 15,000 man yan, you have the same variable cost, you have the same fixed cost. Very good, Marikay. All right. Okay. For example, on September, okay? On September, you have 10,000 cases of beer. Ano ba gusto niyo? San Mig Light? Red Horse? All right. Let's say Red Horse. 10,000 ang na-produce ng San Miguel. Okay? Magkano ang ating net income for this year? Okay, nag-chat. Readers daw si Jaime. Alright. So you have here, just multiply 100 pesos. You multiply it by 10,000. So you have here 1 million. Of course, 60. You multiply it by 10,000. You have 600. Just minus 400 by 100. You have 300. Very easy. All right. Next. How about on October? All right. Oktoberfest. For example, walang COVID, Alright. Let's say walang COVID. Alright. Let's say from 10,000 lumaki, no? Naging let's say 30,000 cases of beer ang naibenta ng San Miguel for October. Alright. So 30,000 cases of beer, sorry. If you have question, just raise your hands, no? Alright. Magkano ba ang ating sales? So, same. Ano pa rin? 100 selling price. You multiply it by 30,000. You have 3 million. Copy ko lang yung formula, ha? Ngari. Alright. Then, the variable cost, same pa din, di ba? Oh, just 30,000 times 60. Yan. And then, how about the fixed cost? Fixed cost will remain the same. You have here 100,000. All right. So this is the per unit. All right. Malamang ito ay 100 pa din. All right. Sige nga. Sir, tama ba yung sinusulat mo? Wait lang. All right. Sir, tama ba to? Tumaas yung benta ng beer from 10,000 to 30,000. What happened to your what happened to your variable cost? Increase ba? 600 to 1.8. Tama ba ito? The answer is yes, right? How about the variable cost per unit? From 10,000 cases of beer to 30,000 or from 1 million to 3 million, tumaas yung sales mo, right? How about the variable cost per unit? Tumaas or bumaba? So, paano yan? Of course, you have your 1.8. You divide it by 30,000. 60 din ba? The variable cost per unit is 60. The variable cost per unit in October is still 60. Sir, tama ba ito? The answer is yes. Correct. Alright? How about the fixed cost? Pag tumaas yung benta, parehas lang ba ang total? The answer is yes. So, tama ito. Okay, don't memorize, ha? How about the fixed cost per unit? Ito pala, makano to? Makano ba yung fixed cost per unit? Let's divide it by the volume, ha? This is 10 pesos. Alright, malamang ito ay 40. Alright. How about the fixed cost per unit? Pag tumaas yung benta mo, 10 to 30, what will happen to your fixed cost? 100,000 divided by 30. Bumaba ba? The answer is yes. Bumaba, 'di ba? From 10 pesos to 3.33, bumaba. Meaning, tama ito. Decrease. So far, naintindihan? Malinaw? Alright. Next. How about on November? Sabi ni Digong, wag nang uminom ng beer. Bawal na uminom ng beer. Alright. From November, from 30,000 cases of beer, naging na lang, let's say, kalahati, naging na lang siyang 15,000. So, meaning, di ba? From 30 to 15, bumaba ang inyong sold or produce ng San Miglite or Red Horse. Okay? Anong mangyayari sa ating sales? Okay?
Bababa.
Bababa din. So from 15,000, you multiply it by 100. So you have here 1.5. What happened to your sales? 30 to 15, 3 to 1.5, bumaba ang inyong benta. Alright. So malamang this is also 100. Alright. How about the variable cost? Okay. You multiply it by this. You have 900. Alright. So malamang this is also 100,000. Diba? Alright. Ano nangyari? Bumaba ang beer mo, 30 to 15. 3 million to 1.5. Bumaba din. What happened to your variable cost? From 1.8 to 900. Bumaba ba ang ating variable cost? The answer is yes, bumaba. Alright. How about the variable cost per unit? 900,000 divided by 15. Same lang ba? The answer is yes. So meaning, tama din ito. Alright. How about the fixed cost per unit? Fixed cost. Parehas lang, di ba? So meaning, tama ito. How about the fixed cost per unit? How about the fixed cost per unit? Sorry. So 100,000, dapat tumaas divided by 15. 6.67. From 3.33 to 6.67, tumaas ang fixed cost per unit. Alright. Understood? So meaning, in terms of your analysis on this, don't memorize. As long as you know the concept of this, you can be able to apply this condition. Alright. So far, any question? Alright. To summarize everything, the variable cost total will vary directly and proportionately to your sales. Okay? Any increase or decrease, it is vary proportionately and directly, while the fixed cost total will remain the same regardless of the changes in your activity, while the fixed cost per unit vary inversely. Sorry, variable cost per unit and the total fixed cost will remain the same. Mali ako will remain the same, while fixed cost per unit vary inversely. Alright. Naintindihan ba ang concept na to? Any questions so far? Or, sir, alam na namin yan. Review na lang ngayon. Or first view pa lang. No reaction. Alright.
First view, sir.
First view. Alright.
First view po, sir.
So far, malinaw.
Yes po, malinaw.
Alright, sige. Kasi, dapat, alam nyo to, kasi, when we are now in the analysis of the break-even point, is, baka malito kayo, no? Kasi, pag nasa manak na kayo, managerial accounting, babalik din kayo dito. If you know this concept, maning-mani na yung break-even. Maning-mani na yung CVP analysis, maning-mani na yung sales mix. Okay? Ayan. So far, so good. No question. No question. If my question, just ask, no? Alright. Alright, if not, sige, go back to our...
Wait po, sir.
Alright,
basta po,
sige.
sir, yung sales po, tsaka yung units given lahat po.
Always given yung... Ito yung always given, selling price, given lagi yan. Laging given ang variable cost per unit. Of course, minsan wala yung CM. Just minus. Alright? And also, always given din ito. Okay? And also the volume. Yun yung component. Later, when we discuss the CVP, yan yung laging given. Alright? To compute for the net income. Again, bakit always given a variable cost per unit and the fixed cost total? Sabi ni Marike kanina, because of this, no? The variable cost per unit and the total fixed cost Kahit anong mangyari yan. Di ba, sinotice, no? Tumaas man yung benta ng beer, bumaba man ang benta ng beer, ano nangyari sa variable cost? 60, 60, 60 pa din. 100, 100, 100 pa din. Pero yung total variable cost mo, nagva-vary, di ba? Yung fixed cost per unit mo, nagva-vary, di ba? Yan. Yan yung reason. Okay, Alvon, malinaw? Alright.
Thank you po, sir.
Alright. Sige. Brandon, question. Wala.
Sir. Pero, thank you po sa, inulit niyo to. Mas naintindihan ko ngayon.
Alright. Gabriel, Zavala, walang question? Malinaw? Alright, sige.
Yes, sir. Malinaw po.
Alright. Pag may question na, don't worry. Yung iba nahihiya. Just message me, just text me, okay lang. Alright. Distinguish between variable and fixed cost. Okay. Inulit ko lang. Variable cost total will vary in total directly and proportionately to the changes in the activity level. Alright. While the variable cost per unit will remain the same. Yan yung kanina. Alright. Ay, wag na yan. While the fixed cost total is also or will remain the same, no? While the fixed cost per unit will vary inversely with the activity. Alright. Ito lang naman yan, no? Ito na yun. Alright. Naging lang word. Alam nyo ba kanina? Nag-message ako sa Kasi na umaga pa, ha? Sabi ko, yung hapon, sabi ko sa BSA 2B, no? Na okay lang ba tayo mag-meet later ng alas 6:30 kasi di ba mag-grocery ako. Tapos may nag-message sa akin, Sir, wala pa tayong klase ngayon. Sabi ko, ha? How come na walang pasok? Diba? How come na walang pasok, no? Yung pala, 2B pala yun, no? Not 2A. Alright. Anyway. Next, explain the importance of the relevant range. Alright. Bakit pala hiniwalay pa yung BSA 2A and 2B? Di ba? Madami ba? Alright. Sige. Huwag na yan. Mga graph. Alright. Next is all about the mixed cost. Okay? Or what you call the variable and combinations of the fixed cost. Alright. 25 lang. Alright. So mixed cost is basically called semi-variable cost, meaning combinations of variable and fixed, meaning mixed cost change in total, but not proportionately with the changes in your activity. All right. Ano yung sample dito in terms of your mixed cost? Sige nga, in your own life or in your own experience, give me an example of a mixed cost. Jaime, ano yung mga mixed cost na tina-charge sa inyo? Usually. Parang naiya si wala akong maisip. Alright. Khalil. Do you have an idea of example of a mixed cost? Alam nyo ba, nakikita nyo na yan, no? Khalil. Yan ba si Khalil? Wala ata. Alright. Okay, sabi ni Alvon, very good. Telephone bill, very good. Sabi ni Alvon, utilities, yes. Di ba? Yun naman ng telephone, sabi ni Khalil. Di ba? Pag kayo ay nakaplan, let's say yung cellphone nyo nakaplan ng let's say 599. The 599 is the fixed component of it. Alright? Pag nag-exceed ka, kasi si Khalil ay mahilig mag-YouTube, na mahilig siyang mag-post, di ba? Or mahilig siya mag-Instagram, lumagpas ang kanyang usage sa internet. O ano yan? That is your variable cost. Tama ba? Yung 599 na fixed cost mo na binabayaran mo every month, which is combination of the load, the internet usage, and the phone itself, is a fixed cost. Pag lumagpas ka, is your variable cost. Tama ba, Khalil? Pero habang nakaline ka ba sa phone? Alright. How about, yes, okay. How about utilities? Sabi ni Alvon, di ba? Minsan, pag nagbabayad kayo ng kuryente, may fixed component dyan. Okay? Pag kayo ay nag-exceed din sa inyong consumption, yan ay variable cost. Yan. Yan yung example of the mixed cost. Alright. So, for example, kayo ay may hauling or nag-haul kayo ng, let's say, Coke or Sunmig Light or Sunmig Lemon or Pepsi. Yung driver mo ay binabayaran mo siya ng 50 pesos. So, ano yung 50 pesos? It is your fixed cost. Ano yung 0.50? 0.50 is your variable cost per unit. Alright, meaning pag lumagpas siya ng per mile, they are paid 0.50 and with the fixed cost of 50. That's why you have a fixed and variable cost. Alright. That's why very important in the CVP analysis is to classify them or to classify into fixed and variable. That's why you need to separate the fixed and the variable cost component. Ano yung pinakasikat sa lahat? The high-low method. No worries now when you are now in the managerial accounting, there are a lot of mathematical method. You have scatter graph, you have least regression, is also to be discussed in your managerial accounting. Kayo ba ay may managerial accounting subject? Wala. Parang meron, no? Parang meron. Third year nyo. Parang third year nyo. Usually, si Sir Barisa yung professor nyo dyan. Okay? Alright. So, I will just discuss one method, which is the high-low method. Determine the variable cost per unit. Take note of this variable cost per unit. Diba? Kasi dito, yes, don't worry, I will send this PowerPoint. No? Hindi ko lang, kasi very busy ako last week. No? Kaya may utang pa ako kay Mr. Reformo. Okay? Alright. Take note of this formula. Okay? Ano yung una mong gagawin? Okay? Dapat sa activity level muna. Alright. Followed by the cost. And you have now the variable cost per unit. So later, I will give example. After that, determine the fixed cost. Fixed cost is basically the component of subtracting the total cost and the fixed cost. Alright. Halimbawa, ito yung ating information. Alright. So, ito na palang high-low method eh. Let's say, naka-hide ito. Hindi ko natapos. Alright. Ito na ha. Ano yung una mong gagawin? By the way, do you have information or do you know how to compute for this? Or first time pa din? First time ba? Sa
Turo
bala?
naman po.
Naturo naman. Okay. Review na. Okay. Baka kasi first view. Alright. Take note of this. Ano ba sinabi sa inyo dati? Cost or activity muna? Take note of this ha. Dito, lagi nagkakamali ang mga estudyante. Okay? Sayang. Madali lang naman to. Pero dahil dito, hindi ka naging CPA. Diba? Take note of this ha. Take note of this. Ano yung formula? Number 1 is high cost minus low cost. Diba ito yan? Diba ito yan? Cost. Kasi high and low cost minus divided by activity, high and low activity. Take note of this, no? Alam ko, kasi nung time namin, dito na ituro, naalala ko to during the review. Alright, kasi hindi magaling yung professor. Kaya sabi ko, if ever I'll be the one handling na soon. Pero hindi ko alam na magiging professor ako. Alright, ano ako, late bloomer, no? Late bloomer. After my MBA, I realized I have passion for teaching. Alright, ano yung unang mong gagawin? This is the activity. Take note, ha? This is your activity. Alright. And this is your cost. Take note of this. Anong una mong titingnan? Activity or cost? Martin Adlawan. Sorry. Martin, bago ka lang, di ba? Alright. Martin. Very good. Activity muna. Not the cost. Usually, nagkakamali ang mga estudyante dito. Anong una mo na ginagawa? Ginagawa nila is to put the high cost, which is 63,000. Buti na lang, nagkataon lang na ang high dito ay high din dito. Nakataon lang yun, ha? Pero, anong unang gagawin? Step 1 is sa ano muna kayo, denominator. Not in the numerator. Okay? Gagawin nyo is look for the high activity. Ano yung pinaka-high activity dito? Di ba 50,000? 50, 35. Oh. Meaning, put the 50,000 here. High-low, ha? High-low. Get the high activity first. After that, sorry, what happened? Sige, dito na yun, ha? After that is, kung ano yung high activity mo, punta ka sa cost niya. Ang cost niya ay 63,000. Pupunta ka sa taas. Alright, 63,000. Ano lang. Alright. Next, high, low. Kunin mo naman yung low activity. Not low cost, ha? Low activity muna. Okay, ano yung low activity? Malamang hindi na 50, 35, 40, 20. Ano yung low activity? 20. Alright? Minus 20,000. Alright. In terms of 20, ano yung cost ng 20,000 activity? 30,000. So you put here 30,000. 30,000. So what is the answer for this? 63 minus 30. You have 33. 33 minus divided by 30. I think the answer here is 1.1. Memorize ko na to eh. Alright, the answer here is 1.1. Ano yung 1.1? 1.1 is your variable cost. Ay, ano nangyari? 1.1 is your variable cost per unit. Alright. So far, any question? If none, yan. Next is to compute for your fixed cost. Alright. Ano yung formula to compute for the total cost? Alright. Diba usually, the total cost is basically total cost is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. Tama ba? Nakuha na natin yung fixed cost per unit. Alright, so meaning, total, to compute for the fixed cost, the formula is total cost minus the variable cost. Alright, the variable cost is basically the variable cost per unit times the activity. Alright, gagawin nyo muna is get the high. Alright, get the high and later also get the low. Para to compare, dapat parehas siya, no? Ano muna una? Compute for the fixed cost, compute muna yung total cost. Ano yung total cost sa high? Di ba given naman? Ito yung cost mo. Cost sa high ay 63,000. Ano yung minus the variable cost? Ano yung formula ng variable cost? Variable cost per unit. Basta variable cost per unit. So, meaning variable cost per unit you multiply it by high activity. Kasi nasa high tayo ha. High activity. So, paano yun, sir? So, paano yun? Magkano ang ating na-compute sa variable cost per unit? Di ba? Given naman, 1.1. Sir, saan galing yung 1.1? Di ba ito yun? Okay? Magkano ang ating high activity? Di ba 50,000? Yun? So, you multiply it by 50,000. Magkano yun? Magkano to? Ha? 55? Alright. So, you have here 55,000. This is gonna be your variable cost. Sir, magkano ba ang ating total fixed cost? Just minus 63 minus 55. You have 8,000. Tama ba? Yes, you have 8,000. All right. To check if it is correct, you also compare it with the low activity. Magkano yung cost sa low activity? Di ba ito yung cost niya? 30,000. So you put here 30,000. Cost to ha? Alright. Sir, how about the variable cost? So you compute for same as this, no? Variable cost. Copy ko na muna ha. So copying ko na muna. Pero ito ay hindi na high activity but low activity. Yan. So 1.10, magkano ang ating low activity? Di ba 20? So you have here 20. So ilan to? 22 na?
22.
Okay, very good. Alright. Magkano ang ating fixed cost? Parehas lang ba?
Yes po.
Yes. The answer here is also 8,000. Alright. Ang tanong, what if, sir, hindi ito parehas? Anong sagot doon? May mali ka sa computation
Mali,
in
sir.
terms, may mali ka. Very good, Alvon. No? Okay, to summarize everything, ano yung una? Dito ka muna sa activity, get the cost of it, get the cost of it. Yun lang. That's the basic. Okay? Kasi, pag hindi mo ito finalo, this instruction, malamang hindi ito paparehas. Alright? Nagkataon kasi dito, kung ano yung high sa cost mo, yun naman yung high mo dito. Kung ano yung low mo dito, ito naman yung low dito. Nagkataon lang. Okay? Pero, hindi yan laging ganon. Ha? Alright. After that, you have your fixed cost. Alright. So far, any question? Malamang review lang to sa inyo. Maning-mani yung high-low. Diba? Question?
None, sir.
Alright. None. Alright. Sige. Next. Alright. Same lang to ha. Naulit ko lang. Magkano ba? 1.1 ha? Ayan. And also 8,000. So tama. Alright. Alright. So paano to, sir? So in terms of the formula here, alright, total cost is equal to 1.1 variable cost. You multiply it by x. Ano yung x? X is basically depende sa demand, diba? Plus your fixed cost of 8,000. Again, go back to our discussion. Sir, bakit variable cost per unit? Bakit total fixed cost? Sabi nga ni Marikay, the variable cost per unit and the total fixed cost will remain the same regardless of the changes in your activity. All right. So far, any question? Diba? Ang dami na natin na-discuss. 8 o'clock na pala. Bilis ng oras. All right. Sige. Okay. High-low method. Generally the best estimate. But it does not produce precise measurement of fixed. Yun naman yun. Okay. Next, this is our main topic for today, no? Hindi naman talaga variable and fixed. Pero if you do not know the basic concept of this, mahihirapan ka sa CVP analysis. Alright. CVP is basically the study of cost, volume, and your profit. Alright. The effect of cost and the effect of volume of it in terms of your profit. Alright, ano yung components of the CVP? Ito yung tanong ni Alvon na laging given. Ito yung naging given, Alvon, ha? Volume, diba? The selling price. Ba't ayaw naman? Okay. Variable cost per unit. The total fixed cost. Why? Kahit anong mangyari, itong tatlong to, even the CM will remain the same. Okay? Regardless of the changes in your activity. And the sales mix. So after this, I think we will discuss sales mix, kasi it is part of the cost accounting. Okay. All right. So what are the assumptions in terms of the CVP analysis? The behavior of both costs and revenues is linear throughout the relevant range of activity. All costs can be classified as either variable or fixed. Parang ulit-ulit na lang, no? All right. Changes in activity are the only factors that affect cost. So meaning you increase the direct labor, you increase the volume. Ano lang yan. Okay? There's no ending inventory here. All units produced are sold. And sales mix. All right. In the CVP analysis, very important to consider this. All right. The selling price, the variable cost per unit, and the total fixed cost. Diba? As you notice, Alvon, no? Ito yung naging given. Diba? Kasi, yan ay remain the same. Diba? Okay. Sige, I will give you here CVP. Okay, na pala yun. Sige, I will add na lang dito na CVP ulit. CVP2. Alright. Antok na ako Anyway. Nakapa ako talaga mag-online. Alright. Ano yung given lagi? Yes. Alright. Diba ito yung given? As you notice, 500, 300, yan. Ito yung given, ito yung given. Ito, I just minus it. Sir, saan galing yung 100%, 60%, and 40%? Diba? Sales is always at 100%. Alright. Sir, how about the variable cost? Ano yan? Alright. Background music. Nakakantok yun, no? Kung may music pa tayo. Alright. So, ano naman? Saan ang galing yung 60%? 300 divided by 500, you have 60%, right? 200 divided by 500, you have 40%. Yun lang yun, That's the essence of it. Always, sales is at 100%. Alright. Sige. Indicate the meaning of contribution margin. Alam mo natin, the CM is basically sales minus variable cost per unit. Sorry, selling price minus variable cost per unit, you have CM per unit. Or sales in percentage minus variable cost percentage, you have the CM percentage. Yun lang yan, Alright. That is the contribution margin. You deduct in terms of sales minus the variable cost. Or let's say the volume mo is 1,000. Just put here 1,000. Just like what we did a while ago, right? So you put here 1,000. Magkano ang ating sales? Same, the concept of variable and fixed, it will apply also here. All right, sorry. 1,000 times 300. All right. Oh, break even pala to. Diba, break even. Masin nyo. Dapat 500 to. Yan. Oh, diba? 0. Alright. So meaning, the CM here is 200,000 by subtracting the sales minus variable cost, and you have your CM. Alright. Ito lang yun, ha? Yan. Same, diba? 200,000. Alright. Per unit, done na. Selling price minus variable cost per unit. Yan, yun ang kanina. CM ratio, diba? Same. The sales percentage minus variable cost percentage, you have CM percentage. Yun lang yan, no? All right. Next,
Yes, sir.
with this is we compute for the break-even point. All right. What do you mean of break-even point? So ito yung ating Finman. Kasi break-even point is part of financial management. So parang combination na din. What do you mean of break-even point?
Sir,
Alright, sige.
sir, ayun po yung walang loss at walang gain.
Alright. Sino to? Sorry, hindi ko makita. Sino ka?
Ako po, si Mariel po.
Mariel. Alright. So, meaning, sabi ni Mariel, break-even point is your net income here is 0. Tama yun. Your net income here is 0. Very good. What else? When you say break-even, your sales is equal to your total cost. Tama ba? Your sales.
Yes, sir.
Your sales is equal to your variable cost. All right. And plus your fixed cost. Wait lang, may nagano lang message.
Okay, sir.
All right. What else? Sales minus variable cost minus fixed cost is equal to 0. Tama ba? Alright. CM
Yes, sir.
is equal to your fixed cost. Yan usually ang nasa board exam. Paikot-ikot lang. Which among these are not? All of these are the break-even point analysis except. Ganun lagi yung mga ano. CM, what else? Minus fixed cost is equal to 0. Diba? Yan. Kayo ay pinapaikot-ikot lang. Yan. Diba? Meron ba ba? I think wala na. Nandito na yung sa akin. Wala na, no? Yan. Alright.
May question po, sir.
Question.
So, nangyayari po ba talaga na pantay yung, na zero po talaga yung net income sa isang company?
Yes.
Break-even
Hindi
point.
naman. Break-even point is basically you just want to know the minimum volume or the minimum sales value we're in to break even. What do you mean of this? Meaning, gusto mo lang iset na, for example, ito, di ba? You have 1,000 units. Pag ikaw ay nagbenta daw ng 1,000 units, to say, ano to, let's say beer, or if you are in the business of siomai, if you sell 1,000 pieces in a month, malamang you have 0 net income. Pag lumagpas ka ng 1,000 siomai, net income ka.
Profit.
Profit ka. Very good. So meaning, break-even point is just a financial decision making purpose of the management. To know what is the number of the break-even point wherein that you are willing to produce, no? Kasi 1,000 is basically, if your 1,000 is your sales, sure ako na zero net income. If you have 500,000 sales, sure ako na zero net income. Alright. Alright. Wait lang. Alright, next. Okay lang ba can we end na lang muna dito sa break even, ha? Then on Monday, since we will meet pa, we will continue this, no? We will discuss operating leverage, margin of safety up to absorption and variable. Okay lang. Okay lang ba we can extend maybe 2 hours tayo, 2.5 hours Monday. Okay? Ngayon kasi parang pagod ako eh. Ewan kung bakit.
Okay lang, sir. Okay lang, sir.
Hindi ngayon kasi
Okay lang po, sir.
Okay lang.
Okay lang po,
alright.
sir.
Alright.
Okay
Ngayon
lang
kasi
po, sir.
ngayon kasing week patapos na yung MBA ko sa Ateneo, no? At least tapos na.
Pahinga lang kayo dyan, sir.
Pahinga.
Congrats, sir.
Oo.
Lapit na.
Congrats, sir. Lapit na.
Saan? Ano malapit
Sir
na?
Sitin, malapit
Sa
na
MBA po.
Ano yan? Malapit
Sir
naman?
Sitin, malapit na po makatulog.
Yan.
Okay na.
Yan. Alright. No profit, no loss. Tama, Jaime. Alright. Very good. Alright. In the break-even point, no, is basically you can compute for mathematics. You can compute for the long cut. I will not discuss CVP, no, graph. Wag na, hindi tayo mag-graph, no. I will discuss siguro the formula to compute for the break-even point. And now, okay? So, break-even point can be expressed in terms of peso to, ha? Peso and units. Alright.
Yes, sir.
So, ano yung simplest form? Break-even sales is equals to variable cost and fixed cost. Ito kanina, di ba? Ito lang naman yan, ha? Sales is variable cost and fixed cost. Alright. Alright. Sige. Wag na to. Sige. Yung mga magaling sa math, pwede naman, no? So, ano yung formula? This is your sales, right? Ano to? 60% is your variable cost, correct? Times X is your sales. Kasi di mo alam yung X, no? Ano yung 200,000? 200,000 is your fixed cost. So, algebra tayo. 0.60. Lagay mo sa kabila. Magiging 40 na to. You have your 200,000. X is 500,000. Algebra, no? But how about in terms of long cut? Yan. Kung units naman, same thing. Okay? Yan. Pero, another thing is you can do the long cut. Okay? Long cut is basically in terms of this, no? All right. Let's say, sige, I will give you example na iba, ha? Let's say this is still 500 pa din. And para parehas lang, you have 300. Pero ibahin ko na lang yung ating contribution margin. Para hindi ako mag-isip na. So, 100% and 40%. Alright. So, ito yung total mo, ha? Let's say, di mo pa alam ang ating units. Diba? Alright. Let's say, ang ating fixed cost is 100,000. Okay? For example lang, ha? Di ba? Always given ang selling price, variable cost per unit, the contribution margin, and the fixed cost. Alright. Ayan. Sir, ano yung long cut na gagawin natin? Pag nakalimutan mo yung formula, okay? Ang gawin mo lang ay, you put here 0. Tama ba? You put here 0. Why 0? Because at the break-even point, you have 0 net income. Correct? Oh, how much? Oh, ano gagawin natin?
Yes,
I-compute
sir.
it pataas. Kung 0 ang ating net income, malamang ang CM natin ay 100,000. Tama ba? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Alright. Magkano na ang ating ang tanong is magkano ang break-even sales, right? Okay, ito yung question mark, no? If the 100,000 is 40% of your sales, how much would be your sales? Again, if the 100,000 is the 40% of your sales, my question is, how much is your sales?
Sir, 250.
250.
Paano mo nakuha? 250? You just divide 100,000 by 40%. Tama ba? Di ba ginawa niyo?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So
Opo,
this
sir.
is at malamang 150 ito. Alright. So what do you mean of this? If your sales is at 250,000, for sure you have 0 net income. Sir, how about the units? So gagawin mo, 25 divided by 500. So you have 500 units. Alright. Anong ibig sabihin nito? If you sell 500 units, for sure you have 0 net income. If your sales is at 250,000 total, for sure you have 0 net income. Alright. That's the long cut. Ito yung long cut na ginawa niya. Ginawa kasi iniba ko para dalawang sample. So, gagawin
Yes,
mo
sir.
pataas lang kayo and to get the 500,000. Or you can also do the formula. What is the formula to compute for the break-even point? Malamang alam na to, di ba? Alright. Break-even point in terms of peso and break-even point in terms of units. So, ano yung formula ng break-even point in terms of peso? Total fixed cost, tama? Divided by what? You divide it by CM percentage, correct? How about your break-even in units? Same thing. Total fixed cost divided by CM per unit. All right. Yan. Okay. Ito yung answer Alright. Magkano? Sige, kung tama yan, sir. Baka niloloko niyo lang kami, no? Alright. Magkano yung total fixed cost? 100,000. Tama ba? 100,000. You divide it by Alright, you divide it by CM percentage. Magkano CM percentage? Di ba 40%? So you have here 40%. Nangyari. So you have here 40%. So tama ba? Tingnan natin. 100 divided by 40%. Tama ba 250?
Yes, sir.
The answer is
250 pa.
also 250. So 250 here and also 250 here. So you can do formula or you can do this long cut. All right. How about the break even in units? Total fixed cost is also 100,000. All right. You divide it by your CM per unit. CM per unit is 200, right? And all right. 100,000 divided by 200. So you have 5. Same ba? The answer is yes. Same here and same also here. So far, any question? Before we end this, na, same man to, formula lang to. Yan, formula, same kanina. Before we end this, na, what if your sales for next month is 501? Do you think that there's now a net income? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Brandon, the answer is
Yes po.
yes. But
Yes po, sir.
how much?
Maliit po, sir.
Maliit po.
Magkano? Malalaman mo kaagad kung magkano ang net income. Malamang for sure meron. Kasi pag nagbenta ka ng 500, malamang zero ang net income mo. Pero pag nagbenta ka ng 501 pieces of, ano ba binibenta mo, Brandon? Yan. Let's say,
Laptop table po.
laptop table. Or let's say, nakabenta ka ng 501. For sure, may net income ka na. The question is, how much?
1 unit po.
Malamang mag-long cut kayo. Pero without computing for the long cut, the answer here is 200. Sir, bakit 200?
Bakit po, sir?
Ano yung easiest way to solve this? CM times additional unit after break even. Magkano yung CM natin? Di ba 200 times additional 1 unit? Tama? The answer is 200. Sir, bakit CM lang? Di ba may fixed cost pa tayo? Regardless of the changes in your activity, fixed costs will remain the same. Sige nga, sir, baka niloloko nilang kami. Baka hindi naman 200 talaga eh. Sige, complete natin. Ay, nangyari. 500 times 501, you have 200, 500 or 250, 500. All right. Next, 300, you multiply it by 501, you have 150. Okay? 250, 500 minus 150, 300, you have 1,200. Fixed cost is still 100,000. Tama ba? 200? The answer is yes.
Yes.
So in your board exam, kung alam mo na ang break-even point, alam mo na may additional, just compute for the CM and you multiply it by the additional, that's your net income. So far, naintindihan ba? 8:16 na pala.
Yes po.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Hopefully you learned na. Alright. So far, any question? Malinaw ba? Or, sir, madali, alam na naman, question. Sino yan?
Si Justin po, sir.
Alright, Justin.
Sir, yung i-upload nyo po tong video recording, sir.
Yes. Pero, mapapanood nyo sa YouTube. Kasi,
Okay po, sir.
ayaw ma-send. Ayaw mailagay yung itong Zoom to doon kasi nga
Opo.
napakalaki ng file daw. Sabi ni Miss Coliano, mag-upload daw ako sa YouTube, then send the link. Okay?
Sir.
Alright. So far, any question?
Ano po?
Alright. Hopefully you learned, ha? Alright. Kahit, okay. Kahit online. Alright. If
Hindi
none,
naman po, sir. Para lang siyang review.
alright, parang review. Alright. So, next meeting, Monday, no? For sure, we will meet on Monday. We will continue this, no? I will discuss about the operating leverage, the margin of safety, and target net income. So if we are done, we will discuss variable and absorption costing. Alright, para hindi tayo mahuli sa kabila, no? Alright. If none, sige, kain muna kayo. Ay, gutom na ako. Alright. Saka naantok na.
Sir,
Alright.
may meeting po tayo sa strategic cost sa Monday.
Yes, meron. Tama ba?
Thank you,
Sa ka
sir.
pa, Brandon? Dito ka ba talaga o sa Finman?
Sa ano po? Strategic cost.
Alright. Sige. Tama kasi, di ba, sa Finman tayo naging estudyante, no? Alright.
Apa.
Sige. We will still meet on Monday. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So, if none, thank you very
Thank you,
much
sir.
for the time. Okay? Bye-bye. Kain kayo, ha?
Thank you,
Alright.
sir.
Sige, bye-bye.
Ayun na kayo, sir.
Alright.
Skip
Sige,
po,
bye-bye.
sir.
Sir.
po.
Bye-bye.
Sir.
Hopefully you learned,
Opo,
no?
sir.
Hopefully you learned.
Yes po,
Alright.
sir.
Opo.
Alright,
Yes
bye-bye.
po.
Alright. Bye-bye.